Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report, another daily editorial, this time featuring T.G. Watkins, Director of Stocks over at Simpler Trading, also editor of the Profit Pilot website, which we will link to in the show notes. TG, as I've been asking a lot of people over the last week, is really to look back on 2024, some of the key themes that you either learned from or some of the good trades that you wrote on, and carry that over into 2025. Anything that could carry over, any major changes that you see either with your trading strategy or that the markets are telling you right now. So, TG, if you could, what are some of the key themes here that you saw in 2024 and that you're carrying into 2025?
Well, 2024 for me was all about the mega caps. They've been doing really well. You're looking at Meta and Netflix and all these things just screaming and doing very well. And we've been trading a leveraged ETF called FNGU. And so we've been doing well with that one. But then over the last few months, and kind of what we've all been looking for and waiting for are the small caps. And, the idea that the bubble popped in 2020, 2021. And then they went down. They've been basing for a while, and everybody's just kind of been waiting for whenever the small caps are going to get on board again, meaning, okay, when are interest rates going to start coming down, and when do they come up again? And there were a couple fits and starts, that finally got them going. But then now we're starting to see that. I'm starting to see pretty much across the board. I know the IWM may not be representing it very well, but we have a bunch of stocks that are coming out of about a year or two worth of bases. And it looks good to me, especially since interest rates are coming down. So that's what I'm going to be carrying into 2025 are kind of the small caps. And plus, we've got some craziness with AI and quantum computing and stuff like that. So I think we're in the right mixture to see some fun stuff like that move and set up.
Well, let's dig into a couple of those themes then within the small caps. You just mentioned AI and quantum stocks. Man, quantum stocks have been ripping a lot. We've seen AI stocks rip all year as a theme. You also mentioned drone stocks have been on the menu lately. So what stocks in particular or what ones do you see with good setups on the charts?
Yeah, well, so the quantum stocks, they're a little tough right now because they've already moved so much. If you just look at something like RGTI, is to name one of them, yeah, they're kind of gone vertical. So I don't really know where to describe what to do with them at this point. If they do continue to hold these moving averages, fantastic. But these things are also have such crazy moves already. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a chill pill for a while. And then SOUN is another one that was kind of AI related that we actually did pretty well. We caught over 200% on that one. Same thing. I'm kind of waiting to see where this wants to go. And so we just have to be a little bit careful about some of these things. In addition with this, we've seen space related stuff. I mean, go look at Rocket Lab and how much these things have moved up. So, I just think that with the combination of interest rates, a decent economy, we haven't hit a recession yet. And honestly, with the new administration coming in, for better or for worse, however you want to take it, but this is what the market does. It needs to know who's in charge, what the party is about, and then they move in that direction. And then you can see things like Archer, ACHR are responding to the idea that regulations are going to be kind of rolled back and it's going to be easier to get business done. And so that's why they're going up. And yeah, so the market is being influenced by the administration, which it was in 2020 when Joe Biden got elected too. So, it works on both sides. And yeah, it just seems like that's kind of the thing that's going to be for 2025 for me is watch these small caps and watch small business grow.
Now, with this whole AI trade, how do you view these mega tech stocks that also have their hand pretty heavily in the AI sector, but again, they have so much else going on? So, will they also have some room to run?
It sure seems that way, especially something like Google, which has been lagging over the last few months, ever since they came out with, I think it was, no, if it was Gemini or, they had something that came out with quantum computing, some breakthrough, and it sounds like they're definitely getting into the game. So Google looks like it's got plenty of room to run, and yeah, I just wouldn't bet against any of the mega caps and how they're doing. And Tesla is also doing fantastically well. We actually traded TSLL, which is the leverage ETF of Tesla, and I think we got about 270% out of that one. So that's fantastic. And of course, that one is going well because of Elon being close to the administration. But you also have to remember that Tesla, along with X and some of their developments with AI, I heard something like they got 100,000 GPUs to all work and talk to each other based on how they figured out some communication stuff. Nobody thought it was possible, but the people over at X, along with Elon Musk were able to get it done. And so now everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is possible. And so this adds to the whole quantum thing and the AI thing and networking and just kind of where we're going with this. So Tesla is more than just Tesla. There's a lot that people are baking into the cake for Tesla, as far as their robotics and everything else like that. So just understand that's why Tesla is going up so much.
Yeah, Tesla's always been kind of a patchwork quilt of solar companies, battery companies, now robo-taxi companies, AI. There's a lot going on in there. When you look at some of these other small caps, you did mention to us off mic drone stocks, which we've never really talked about on the show before. You mentioned a couple of tickers. Anything you'd like to highlight for listeners?
Yeah, so it's kind of fun. It brings me back to 2020, and when we were talking, kind of drones came up first back then. If anybody remembers UAVs, as far as that one, we made a bunch of money off of that one in 2020 when it was going crazy, and since then it's just been dead. But there seems to be a new wave of drone stocks that are coming up, and partly because of probably the Ukraine war and how much influence that is having, and the demand and the growth and just the rapid development of drones right now. So RCAT is one of them. I'm in RCAT. I like it because actually it just got some investment or partnership with Palantir. So, that's going to be a big deal. But then there are other ones like UMAC that are also starting to lift off and, looking fantastic. And then we've got a couple others that we're looking at and trading and that look kind of crazy like these quantum stocks. So really, we're seeing some pretty fantastic action that's coming out of this market. And I don't want to give all the tickers away because that's what my subscribers pay for. But yeah, we've got our hands in quite a few of these things.
So, TG, what about this whole potential of people saying the market's run too much over the last 2 years and it needs to come back to equilibrium with generally a pullback or a year of underperformance? How does this fit into your whole trading strategy?
Well, we just kind of got some of that yanked down from Wednesday when Jerome Powell spoke and said, hey, we're going to probably do fewer rate cuts than the market is expecting. So that's why the market got tanked last week. But since December 2nd, we were seeing breadth decline anyway. So the whole market was pulling back already leading up to that decision and that comment. So we were prepared for it. It's like kind of no surprise. But I think that and we saw this phenomenon in 2020, the overall market can actually just hold or not do much or go up a little bit, or even the mega caps can go sideways. But underneath the surface, some of these small caps can go crazy. They are so small and there's not a huge part of the market that they can do whatever they want to do and they won't really affect the market. So I would say you really kind of need to trade everything based on theme, sector, and stock. And, just understand that for the most part, the market is in an uptrend. And even if the market needs to take a breath and go sideways, a lot of these stocks underneath the surface will continue to go up. Gosh, RCAT kept going up even last week when the market was going down. So, trade each stock on its own merit.
Yeah, it's a good point, TG, that some of these small caps can move to the beat of their own drum. But if we think about the little drummer boy and Christmas, a lot of people think about this week and next week as the proverbial Santa Claus rally. Has that been canceled because of the action last week and Jerome Powell's comments, or is there still the potential for an end of the year rally the last 2 weeks of the year?
Well, it's going to probably be what you define as a rally and how much of it's going to have to rally. We did get a really big rally on Friday, so that was a nice move. In fact, there was a 0-day option, a call option that went over, I think it was like 1,700%. One of the ones that we were looking at, I think it was a 5920 call that we were looking at, it went 1,500% or more. So, yeah, that was pretty nice. But right now, from the big picture, I would say reference back to July 30th and 31st. And if you look at the SPX on that, you can see that leading up to that, the market was down, then it went sideways, and we actually got a 1 or 2 day pop of price over the hourly 50. Now, if you take that and you look at where we are currently, we actually have quite a bit of room before price even gets to the hourly 50. And if it gets over the hourly 50, then that'll be even more of a move. And so if the market either now or over the next day, couple days stays sideways and then has a big pop towards the end of the year, I would consider that a Santa Claus rally, because if we can get a few days to move up, great. Let's be strong into the end of the year. Definitely a Santa Claus rally. Even if the market rolls over and heads down after that pop. Okay, so if we're really just talking like if we want some strength into the end of the year, I think it's possible. But maybe we also just go sideways. But I just don't think I don't think we're going to go down, because I think that route that we had on Wednesday, along with breadth, like here's a stat: the number of stocks over their 20-day SMA got down to 8%. And the number of stocks over their 50-day SMA got down to 20%. This is like washout levels. The market just got hammered, and it's been getting hammered for 2 or 3 weeks already since December 2nd. So I'm kind of the camp that we should be seeing a rally because just everything is on its lows right now. And I still think that there's a fair amount of strength out there.
Very interesting stats there. I didn't realize how much these stocks had been washed out. I know that there's that pullback, but interesting call there, TG. Let's also move over to, what our listeners like to focus on is more the commodity side of things, especially precious metals. Gold is off of its highs, but still just kind of trending sideways, slight down bias. Silver has been volatile as can be. The underlying ETFs with the gold miners, the silver miners, those, at least in the short term, have broken down a little bit. What are you seeing in the precious metals sector?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, gold had a heck of a run. And so you and your subscribers and gold bugs and stuff like that, I mean, they should know this, that that was a very big move that gold had. And it kind of came into two surges. And on the last surge, it just said, okay, that's it. I got way too high. And now it's trying to consolidate. Now the question is, in what way is it going to? Is it just going to go sideways until it finally finds its support and then goes up? Or is it going to come down until it finds that support and then does something? Right now, gold is on its weekly 21. That is going to be kind of something that people are going to be watching, but it's also underneath its daily 50 and it's being guided down by its hourly 200. So definitely be prepared for more downside or more consolidation because, I mean, it was such a big move. It's going to have to rest. And if you look at silver, silver kind of same thing. It had a big move and then it got overbought and then it got rejected by its daily 50 and at least now it's near its weekly 50 and its monthly 10, so just you're going to have to give it some time and see where this thing wants to go. And GDX, same thing. It moved up for quite some time. It got a little wobbly at the top. It had a blow off top and then came down. And, number one, it failed its daily 50. And number two, just, I don't know, like a week or two, it got rejected by its daily 50. So these are just really big pullbacks. Maybe you can consider, well, I wouldn't consider it a downtrend because the higher time frame charts are still positive. But this is a very drawn out pullback. And I think that's just to be expected given how much these things moved in the first place.
Yeah, it's a good point. After such a big move, it makes sense to consolidate and kind of figure out where support's going to be and then build from there. One other sector in the commodity space that gets a lot of attention and we'd like to get your thoughts on it, we've talked about it before, is the uranium sector. We can look at something like URNM, the ETF, and some of the uranium stocks, and maybe the divergence between not just uranium stocks, but it seems like the nuclear stocks are outpacing what we're seeing in uranium stocks. So maybe cover both areas for us, TG.
Yeah, I would love to. So basically, the last time that we all spoke about URNM is that we got basically the pullback to the daily 50 that I was looking for. And it seemed to bounce from the daily 50 and then went sideways. And right as we had left that conversation, I was like, generally I'm going to lean bullish on these things and we'll see if they work. And what I needed to see was price get over the daily 50 at some point, and part of that needed to mean it's going to start by getting over the hourly 50 and following the hourly 50 up. Well, pretty much right at that spot, and give it a couple days, it didn't work. It failed the hourly 50, it failed the daily 50, and now we're seeing this kind of 2.5 week drop, pullback that it has. So I didn't take anything because there wasn't a setup. I was looking for it, but it just didn't happen. And at this point, now we just kind of like gold. We just need to wait and see if this thing sets up again. It didn't do it when I wanted it to. Now we reset and we see what else it wants to show us. And then something like UEC, kind of the same thing. I was looking for it to hold the daily 50. It didn't. So, okay, you kind of just step back and wait. At least it's closer to its monthly 10 and its weekly 21. But we're just going to have to be patient. And the way to kind of see about that is that, yeah, if we jump over to the nuclear stocks, if you look at OKLO, it had a huge move and then pulled back. And now it's at its weekly 21 and looks like it's bouncing. It's back over its daily 50. So that's going to be, and huge volume, actually. If you guys notice, there's been really big volume over the last couple of days. So it seems as though these are ready to keep going. I would say this is probably a buy the dip situation. Of course, we need to verify that and make sure it continues, but I'm pretty interested in that. We also have another nuclear stock that has been holding up pretty well. We've been hanging on to it for a few months at this point, and it's having a very strong day today. So that's another one that the Moxie indicator subscribers are in, and we're enjoying that. And then the other one, SMR, keeping our eyes on it. It's also at its weekly 21, potential area for price to hold and move up, but it hasn't triggered yet. So, we're kind of seeing some interesting things out there of a lot of potential and possibilities. But the one that we're in is doing very well, so we're happy about that.
Well done, TG. Always so interesting to hear what you're trading and the products that you're trading too. It's so fascinating to hear all the opportunities that you're seeing in these markets, and also how in some markets you're just waiting to see what the direction is so that you can trade them. Again, don't need to be trading all markets at all the time, but still sounds like there's a lot of opportunities out there. Again, TG Watkins, Director of Stocks at Simpler Trading, also editor of the Profit Pilot website. Click that link in the show notes. TG, thank you for all your time this year. Pleasure chatting with you throughout 2024. Hope you have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll chat with you again in 2025.